Islam Makhachev and Volkanovski, that seems to be the most relevant fight right now, even though it's about a month away. But I can't wait. And there's been a lot of people saying that we are disrespecting Volkanovski or writing him off. And Volk's a beast. Volk's a monster. He's literally the most skilled guy. He's pound for pound number one. It doesn't matter. And just because we're picking Islam Makhachev to win doesn't mean we're disrespecting Volk. I love Volk. We want Volkanovski to win, but I think that Volkanovski I just think he's in over his head. I think Islam Makhachev has a 99% chance to win this fight. Jacob, what do you think? And do you think it's disrespectful to pick against Volk?
Look, I've never seen a community that is this emotional. Like, just because you like a fighter doesn't mean you have to be delusional about it. Like, we love Volk. We've been talking good about Volk since we created this channel. Volk is I would say one of the top three guys who we talk the most positive about in the UFC. However, we got to be real on this. It's just not going to be a close fight. Volk doesn't have a real chance. You look at this stylistically, it's a nightmare for Volk. How does he win this fight, guys? These people who, if you think Volk is going to win, how is Volk going to win? Truly, how is he going to win? He's going to stuff a bunch of takedowns and knock Islam out. That's
yeah,
just
they
not
think he's the explosive guy that used to do rugby, that he'll just stand up. He stuffed a couple of takedowns from Mendez. I understand that Volkanovski used to play rugby and all that, but he's still significantly smaller than Islam Makhachev. And Islam's a bad matchup for him stylistically. He's a bad matchup for Volkanovski based on the fact that he's a control grappler with a submission game, and when he gets guys down, he keeps them there. And also, he doesn't have to blast double leg you or take you down with a single leg. He has so many trips, inside trips, judo. He's a black belt in judo. I mean, the guy is such a good grappler. He is levels above Brian Ortega or Chad Mendez. He is such a more complete grappler, and he's really good at wrestling and judo.
And he's also
Volkanovski has never. And here's the thing: that's just stylistically. He's way bigger. If they were the same weight, walking around, if both of these guys, if they didn't have a strength or size discrepancy, I would still probably favor Islam Makhachev just slightly. But the fact that Islam's going to be 15 pounds heavier the night of the fight, it's just, come on, guys. The strength advantage is really useful when you're a strong grappler and you're a guy that's trying to take people down. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And people are acting like Volkanovski just because he lit up Max Holloway, just because he lit up Brian Ortega on the feet and destroyed the Korean Zombie means he's just going to be able to light up Islam Makhachev. I mean, first of all, they're not going to be the same weight. Volkanovski's not just going to power push him off, with his fucking rugby toughness and just be able to pick him apart on the feet. It's not going to work like that. He's going to get smothered. And the way I see it is, his only chance is when he's on the ground. Can he get up? He's going to get taken down. Can he get up? I think that he'll be lucky to get up more than twice. He might get up once. He might stuff a takedown. He's not going to be able to stuff him all night from Islam Makhachev, and he's fucked. And the size is just going to be too much for him, Jacob. I honestly think so. Has Volkanov, what do you think about it? I feel like people are reading in too much about the fact that he destroyed Max and he's the pound for pound number one, super skilled on the feet. How is that going to help him against the grappler like this?
It's not. It's really not at all. I mean, also people are forgetting that Islam is the least hit fighter in UFC history. The guy's defense is ridiculous. And it's not just because of his opponents. He went against Charles Oliveira, who was top 3 pound for pound at the time, barely got hit. Also people are forgetting he is a really good counter puncher too. And he's got a lot of power. People are discrediting Islam's power. He had more, people said Khabib was strong and had power. Islam's got more power than Khabib too.
Way better technical striker
people
than
down
Khabib.
Like Islam does.
Yeah.
So I'm saying is how do we know that Islam's not going to knock Volk down?
He could.
He could, and he's also a 55er. Volk's used to 45ers. He got wobbled by guys like Max Holloway in the second fight. How do we know he's not going to get wobbled by Islam?
That's the thing,
that's
man.
A real risk too.
Another thing I want to bring up and I want to ask you, I feel like when these high level strikers, when they're taking on a guy that's just going to be shooting takedowns all night, they worry so much about the takedown that their confidence on the feet just seems diminished. And I have a hard time believing that Volkanovski is going to be, just moving around the cage, flowing, going in and out, firing off combinations, getting it on the inside. Do you even think he's going to have time to like set these things up?
I think he's going to be way less active. That's what you saw with Oliveira.
He
Oliveira
doesn't have the power to be able to afford to be less active.
then he's that exactly like he's not. But like if he's very active, he's putting himself at risk to getting taken down or getting knocked down. And I think he's going to be very like when these guys fight guys like you saw Charles Oliveira. We were like, why was Charles Oliveira so active? And it took you it took us a few days to really realize like he was worried about the takedowns. And he was worried about his power. Islam's got some serious power. Even in the first round, he hit Oliveira hard a couple times. So I think once you feel the power of Islam and his strength and everything, I think you panic, And I think Volk said that he won't panic when Islam takes him down. Then Islam was like, when you feel my strength, you're gonna panic. And I completely agree. I couldn't agree more. Like that, I've never felt it, obviously, because we're not fighters. But you can only imagine what it feels like being held by a guy like Islam or Khabib. It's different. Like, it's different strength.
Different strength.
It's different. And nobody feels it till they fight them. You can't train with somebody to replicate it. It's just not
Doesn't
possible.
matter how big they are. Like, here's the thing. Volkanovski is training with a lot of big guys. One of them being this guy named Craig Jones, who's an Australian grappler. He's a beast. Like, submission-wise, he's a monster. He's way bigger than Islam. He's a fucking beast too. And he's probably on gear. Like he's a grappler. Like a lot of these jiu-jitsu guys are allowed to take gear. They're not being drug tested. But pound for pound, Islam is just stronger than this guy. He's been grappling his entire life. He's not a jiu-jitsu guy. He's just been training his whole life to grapple, like basically. And that's part of where his strength comes from. But just in general, pound for pound, he's more compact. He's more similar to the size of Volkanovski. And sure, he's smaller than Craig Jones, but because he's got so much strength for his frame, such a freakish amount of strength, it just must feel different. It's one thing if a guy who's like really big and tall takes you down, you could feel their weight. It's another thing if a guy who's like, kind of big, but not super tall, not that heavy, takes you down and they're just like freakishly strong. That's the kind of strength that Islam Makhachev has. And Khabib always says, like, first round they believe, second round they don't believe anymore. And I feel like when guys get in the cage with a Khamzat Chimaev, with a Khabib, with Islam, these guys from that region, they're just built for grappling. Like they're just genetically built to grapple. And not only that, but they've been doing it their whole life because that's just part of the culture over there, And in America, you have guys like Bo Nickel, Daniel Cormier, they're phenomenal wrestlers. John Jones, but they're not taught from a young age like Sambo. And a big part of Sambo is just fighting on the ground in general. The whole time it's like striking, fighting on the ground. Whereas a lot of these American wrestlers, they're big on taking guys down and they're not as big on the control aspect. Like these guys from Dagestan, these guys from Chechnya, all they know is fucking fighting on the ground. And it's like, they're unstoppable. We saw with Islam and Charles, and Islam was fine in Charles's guard. And I know Charles is a monster on the ground. He's a beast. Volkanovski's a monster. Like he's a beast, but Islam's just a different style that he's never fought before. If we haven't seen Volkanovski stuff takedowns from a Dagestani wrestler that's been known to hold everyone down and destroy them on the ground, how on earth are we going to pick him? We saw him get taken down by Brian Ortega. Of course, Volkanovski kind of tripped and fell in that situation. Nonetheless, he was taken down and almost finished. We've seen him get taken down by Chad Mendes. Like, I haven't seen enough instances of Volkanovski stuffing takedowns, let alone from a guy that's in a weight class above him who's also a champion at the caliber of Islam Makhachev. And until then, I can't pick him. Whereas I have seen Islam take a lot of guys down, good grapplers, and just keep them there. And Volkanovski, I'm sorry, but you're telling me that he's going to have an easier time standing up than a guy like Charles, than a guy like, all these other guys like, Thiago Moises that are decent grapplers that are pretty big. I know Volk's a beast. He's probably technically a way better striker than Islam, but I feel like that's going to go out the window. And Volk's really confident. One thing I like about Volk is he's a dog. Like he really is a dog. He's tough as fuck. Like you could just see it in that Ortega fight. Most people get out of a submission like that. They break free. Their life is coming back to them slowly. They just want to breathe. They just want to relax. Volkanovski, he's the kind of guy where he's almost finished. he'll get it right back. Like he's in there. He's like, I'm gonna fuck you up since you almost put me out. Volk's a dog, but that's just not gonna help him. He won't get to do that. You know what I mean? Like he's only gonna get to do that on the feet. There's not gonna be a moment where he like gets on top of Islam and fucking reverses the position and starts beating him up. That shit ain't gonna happen.
But also, you got to remember, like, if, like you said, Volk is very confident and stuff, and like that, people think, like,
man.
oh, Volk is very confident. He's not going to not throw enough. He's going to still be aggressive against Islam. If he's aggressive, that's going to even hurt him even more. Then he's going to get taken down right away. You know,
yeah,
like,
that's the thing. And like, I have a hard time to believe that he will be. I feel like he's gonna have to tailor his style to fight a heavy grappler.
But there's no way to tailor it to a guy like Islam. You just can't. There's no way to stop these guys unless you've got knockout power and you catch them. That's literally the only chance you have against these guys. And I hate to break it to you, Volk doesn't have knockout power. If he's not knocking out the Korean zombie out cold, he's not knocking out Islam Makhachev. That's what I have to say. Or if you're not knocking, I know Max Holloway's got a great chin, but going through all the worst Max Holloway's gone through and not being able to knock him out, why would he be able to knock out?
I feel like Volk, he's fought some guys with granite chins like Ortega Max, but I think you're right. You know, he did knock out Chad Mendes. He has. I feel like he has a little bit underrated power, but nonetheless, like you could just tell he doesn't have the kind of power that you need to put Islam Makhachev out, a lightweight. If he does beat Islam, though,
that's the greatest upset in UFC history.
It's got to be, you know, some people said that DC was biased for saying that. I think that's ridiculous. I think in general, you look at an upset like Amanda Nunes losing to Juliana Pena, like that's women's
That's a fluke, though.
It's less skill than it's a fluke. This right here,
this would have to be complete skill.
This would have to be skill. Like it, you know, I don't see as, you know, unless Islam gets a freak injury, it has to be skill. If Volk beats Islam, that has to be one of the most impressive wins ever, because he'd have to basically stuff takedowns, stick and move, and just like piece him up on the feet, stuffing takedowns, and basically Islam would have to get tired. Like if Volk can do that, Volk's got to be the greatest fighter ever. Like straight up, if Volk can beat Islam, he's probably the most skilled fighter ever. Like,
and the reason for that is just because like we said, Volk doesn't have that one punch knockout ability, so he's not. So it's gonna have to be like a 5-round absolute clinic he'll have to put on. You know what I mean? So like that would be the most impressive performance ever, like undisputed in my opinion.
Straight up.
But like it just doesn't seem realistic. Like it just doesn't. Just stylistically, I just don't think
he's gonna hurt Islam. Islam has such a tight guard. He stands far away. Like,
but Islam is gonna have answers to everything. That's what like the people gotta realize. Like, look, if Volk is super aggressive, he's gonna get taken down. If Volk isn't aggressive enough, he's gonna get pieced up on the feet. Like it's just like, and then taken down. Like there's just no way Volk. There's no like strategy for Volk to win the fight unless he somehow like.
He has to be a monster with takedown defense.
Stuffs a million takedowns, but from a guy who's a weight class above, who out grapples 185 pounders,
right,
and 205ers, who's been grappling his whole life. Like that's the only way he's gonna win that fight.
Yeah, he's gonna have to either knock him out early, or he's gonna have to have like Robert Whittaker, Jose Aldo takedown defense.
He can't knock him out early because he doesn't have the one punch knockout ability.
That's the thing.
He's gonna have to do something that we've never seen before.
Exactly. And I don't see.
I can't buy it. I just can't. I can't.
He could. There's a chance he KOs
like we
Islam,
said,
but like it's so
1%
slim.
Chance. It's a 1%.
Yeah, it's so slim. Like you can't pick that to happen. And you know, we like Volk. I want Volkanovski to win. I'd love to see Volk win. I feel like if Volk wins, it'll be a fun fight because it'll just be like so insane to watch. And you know, I just think the guy who's going to beat Islam is going to have to be around his size, and they're going to have to be
power.
Someone with big power. Yeah, exactly. Like
maybe
they either have to be someone who's just as good of a grappler, like, you know, or a weight class above him, like Hamzat or something, or it's going to have to be someone like Fiziev, you know, who has like big power too, who can KO you, who can stay on the feet. And I feel like at the lightweight class, even Fiziev wouldn't win. Like you need a guy who's
gas out.
Yeah, you gotta have a guy who's like Charles with a chin, who's got like really good wrestling defense, and there aren't many of those. There aren't many of those. Yeah,
I think Fiziev versus Islam is an interesting matchup.
It's interesting
because I would say that is probably the most interesting matchup right now, in my opinion, against Islam, because I know
not Dariush.
I think it's Fazeev because I just think Fazeev is has better takedown defense. I would say
And Dariush.
Dariush is a better grappler, but in
Dude, I
terms of
feel
just
I mean Dariush was stuffing everything from
but
Gamrot.
that's Gamrot like
Dan
he's
Gamrot's pretty good.
but like based off
He was
what?
taking down Armin. Armin was taking down
But
Islam.
that was late. Like I don't know. I still
I think it's Armin, bro. I
I have
think
a question.
Armin's that dude.
I think RDA is a better grappler than Gamrot. That's what I think. Even at this
RDA.
stage, I think he's a better grappler than Gamrot.
I don't know. I think
think he
Gamrot's
is.
better grappler than
Also, you got to
RDA.
remember that was a 5-round fight against Armin.
But oh no,
Like,
but
he
I
was-
think I think Armin is a better. I think Armin's a better grappler than Dariush. I think he's a better I think
But
Armin could be the
I think
best grappler.
Fazeev is the best at stuffing takedowns out of all those guys.
I'm not convinced.
That's what I think. Because I think RDA is a really strong guy. I think just because he's old, you don't lose that kind of grappling. And I think
He's fought at 155. He goes up to 170.
he's strong.
He's not a guy who's like he's not someone that I look. Yes, he's a good grappler, but he's not on the same level as like Armin Sarukian. He's just not.
I mean, I don't know. I think also Fazeev
Wrestling wise, like he's not the same wrestler. And the thing is, you need a guy who's a great wrestler. Fiziev stuff takedowns from RDA, but like,
But what I'm saying
man,
is you got to be able to stuff some takedowns and you have to have the power on the feet. So like that's what I mean. Like Armin and Dariush,
I understand, yeah.
Armin and Dariush aren't the strikers that Fazeev is. Fazeev's got the striking and he's got the takedown defense. So who knows if he's going to be if he's able to stop a couple takedowns from Islam, he may be able to knock him out. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think.
I don't think so. I'm just saying that's like the only guy. That's the only like you're not going to out grapple him. That's what I'm saying. Like so that's why I don't think a Dariush or an Armin has a real chance against him.
But Armin could out grapple him. That's the thing.
You can't. Like, you're not going to be able to. I don't think anybody could.
Armin, I feel like Armin could hang.
It's not even about being able to.
I wouldn't pick him, bro. I would pick against him.
But that's why the only guys who could realistically beat him are a guy who's like a physique.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he'll never move up to welterweight. These fucking
because he would lose. He would lose to Chimaev or Usman.
That's why I like Chimaev because he's from that part of the world, but he's not in that crew.
Yeah, I like both. I mean, I like Islam.
Chimaev follows like Instagram chicks, by the way. I don't know if you guys knew that, but like Chimaev is following these Instagram baddies. I checked his page. And he's fucking liking their photos too. he ain't as halal. He ain't as
religious
Muslim as religious as all these other fucking.
Chimaev's funny. He's a funny dude. He's a funny dude.
Chimaev is like a legit villain, bro. Like I mean, this is aside the point, but we need Chimaev to come back because, dude, he's so fucking fun to watch. But like,
and he's so entertaining.
Damn it, dude, he's so entertaining. I feel like I'd love to see him fight, but who the fuck is he gonna fight?
What I have to say before we get back to Islam about Chimaev, one more thing is like there's nobody who makes you have a certain feeling in your body when he fights like Chimaev. That's all I gotta say. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like we're forgetting about him these days because every time he fights, I know the Burns fight was like a war, but like who else have we seen destroy people so quickly? I want to see him fight again just so we can remind people like how good he is.
How good this guy is. Like everyone makes up excuses.
People think like that he won't just go out there and dominate another, like fucking destroy someone in the first round. We've seen him do it, but I still want to see him like finish someone like Colby or Usman, like someone.
And people won't be able to say anything.
Yeah, who won't be able to say shit anymore, bro? Because like
he's also only getting better. That's what people keep.
He's only getting better. He's still 27. Jeez,
unreal. But yeah, back
Gilbert
to
Burns
Islam,
moment that he probably taught him so many lessons in that fight.
Back to Islam. I mean, look, we love Volk here. Go to our first couple of videos. We've been giving him the most appreciation, everything. We just have to be real. There's a 1% chance that he has to win. So
why do you think people think that we're disrespecting Volk by just?
Because I just think MMA fans are the most emotional fans there is. And I think that I even saw I forgot. Oh, Javier Mendez. I really like Javier Mendez. I think he's a great guy, great coach. But he was like, they were like, who are you picking in a certain fight? Oh, Henry Cejudo versus Aljo. They're like, who are you picking in this fight? He's like, oh, I think I'm gonna pick Henry because I like Henry and stuff like that. That's kind of what the MMA community is. You know what I mean? Like if you like a guy, like you're supposed to like pick them, or else like you're a traitor. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's such a, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I think it comes down to.
Exactly.
And like people I saw in your comments on your TikTok that people are like they said something about like you being like a hypocrite or something for like if Islam wins, like if Islam loses, you're happy because you're saving yourself or something. Either way, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
that's
like
bullshit. Like, yeah, exactly.
it's just a bunch of
Like,
bullshit.
here's
You
the
know what I
thing.
mean?
We always pick in accordance to our reasoning. Even when we did Islam and Charles, we got that one wrong. We picked Charles, but like,
But we gave like 5 valid reasons. Like, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
like here's
Like,
the thing. Islam hadn't shown us that striking before. Islam hadn't shown us that he could take down someone like Charles and have success with him. He hasn't shown us that he could like knock
like
down a guy like Charles who had just been, knocking Justin Gagey down, like putting people out and on this wild streak.
beating
He showed
guys who
us
Khabib
something
beat
new.
quicker than Khabib.
Yeah, Charles was the better pick, like just the more
Oh,
rational
dude,
pick, straight up.
exact. Like, how I think, I mean, we both do this, I believe. Like, when you pick fights, most of the times, 95% of the time, the guy who wins is the guy who has more ways to win. And we thought that Charles had more ways to win. So we picked him.
Same thing here, man. Like, we just think that Islam has more ways to win.
Also, you got to go with like the like who's more proven most of the time. You know what I'm saying? Like Charles was proven.
If it was striker on striker, it'd be different, but it's not.
Charles was beat guys who could be beat, but quicker. So like, what are we gonna be like? We're gonna be like, oh, this guy, Islam, who's apparently the next Khabib, like, but hasn't
like, shown us any of
like,
that kind of dominance. Like he hadn't finished anyone who was like worthy of fucking even talking.
Yeah, so we're gonna say he could beat the number one guy, like just because we have to take Khabib's word.
And the thing is, like, we think that Volk is the best featherweight ever. Like we think he's the most skilled featherweight of all time.
But we also think that Islam's the best lightweight ever. So like,
we think he has exactly his potential. And I prefer watching Volkanovski. Like I want to see him win. He's really skilled. If they were the same weight, it'd be a little more.
I still think Islam wins. I just think the way he distributes. I just think his it's not even just his I just think those guys' technique. Like I was interview of Joe Rogan and Dustin Poirier. He asked him like what it felt like to like have.
I know what you're talking. Yeah,
like be on the ground with Khabib, and they're like, is he like ridiculously strong? He's like, no, it's not that he's the strongest. It's just the way he like knows how to like put pressure to like on his certain spots, like weigh you down, like. It's just it's the technique, you know what I mean? And like, and it makes it like like
like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's Volk. Yeah, it doesn't matter who Volk's training with, who's like a beast in jiu-jitsu. This is not jiu-jitsu. It's not. It's MMA. Like these guys, when it comes to grappling in MMA, like they're just different.
They're the best there is.
Volk can fucking grapple with however many big dudes he wants to. They're not Islam.
It won't make a difference. It won't make a difference. And also like it's before we go on to the next topic. Like Bobby Green said, like Bobby Green was accusing Islam of taking steroids. That's how much, that's what it feels like. You know what I mean? Like that's how crazy it feels like. He may be on steroids, may not. I don't know. But like, regardless, like that's how like crazy Islam feels grappling with.
And Islam's also jacked. Like people don't understand that. He's if you look at him, like he's shredded at 155 and he's like in the cage, shredded and muscular, well built.
He's more jacked.
Arms. He's got a chest. The
difference between him and Khabib is he's more muscular naturally than Khabib.
Yeah.
He's
and
more
Volk is like lean at 145. He's got really big legs, but he's not like super jacked. You know what I mean?
No. I think Volk, like people are like, oh, you look at like they just think the rugby thing, but like let's be honest, how heavy do you think Volk walks around at? Nothing more than 165.
No, I mean, I mean, when he's fighting a featherweight, he's probably like 165 once. No, I don't. I feel like off season, he's probably in the 170s, but right now he's 176. He just, right now, Volk came out, there was a post on this MMA page. He's apparently 176 and they think he's going to be in the cage of 170. I think Islam walks around at like close to 200 off season. I think when he's in training camp, he's probably like 180. And then when he fights, he's, probably like 178, 180.
179.
So Volk at most is going to be like 170.
But also like people are saying like, okay, Islam's fucking Volk is getting this muscle, but that's going to just make him have worse stamina, which is one of his greatest things. You know what I'm saying? I feel like people aren't really taking that into account also. So I just think like, I just don't see it happening. Like we could like, I don't like if those of you who are picking Volk, give us
I
5
don't
reasons
even
why
think
you're
it's going to
picking.
be a fun fight. Like, I honestly think Islam's going to finish him like real, like in the first two rounds.
I think it'll be pretty quick, but I want people who are picking Volk to comment 5 reasons why you're picking Volk. I'm interested to see
Or just give
truly.
us one, or just give us like one,
Or
like if you think he's going to have like the craziest takedown defense at lightweight, then just say that. But I mean,
I just
come
want
on,
to hear. I'm interested to see because
yeah.
I just don't understand how it could happen. Like I'll give you 5 reasons Islam could win. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Like it's
if
got more
Volk
strength.
fucking
Like,
if Volk knocks down, if Volk can not even knock him down, if Volk can stuff the takedowns and like piece him up,
but
I will be
that's so
so impressed.
unrealistic. That's just so unrealistic.
I
For
know
like, really,
that's like
you know what I
what
mean?
he's
Like
thinking in his dreams.
Volk in your dreams is gonna stuff all these Islam Makhachev takedowns. Like
Nah, he ain't doing
so
it.
it's so unrealistic, and he's just not a power.
I
He
give
doesn't.
Charles a better chance to beat Volk
Oh,
easily.
Islam.
Charles could still hurt Islam and like sub him. He could
100%. I
sub
just
him.
don't think Volk has the creativity of that a
He
Charles.
doesn't have the he doesn't have the you have to either have like crazy power or
True,
Charles is
true.
still powerful. He doesn't have a chin,
Charles
why
hits
don't
like
you
a
give it to him?
truck.
But he still had like I think Charles could submit Islam. I think I would give Charles a better chance to submit Islam than I give Volk to
Oh,
win.
I think Charles has a way better chance. If they did a rematch,
I would go like
I would
20% chance for Charles.
yeah, because I think Charles has the power that Volk just doesn't have. You know what I mean? Like you
It's
saw
just
in
that
the
chin,
Gaethje fight.
man.
His
I
chin
feel
is
like we
not
should
there.
talk
He's also
about
too hittable.
yeah.
Like, but and I would still pick Islam, but I just think Charles would have a better chance in the rematch than Volk does now. I just think that people aren't realize like stylistically, this is the worst possible matchup for
Yeah.
Volk. This is Islam's easiest matchup in the top 10. Like this is easier than any other guy you'd fight in the top 10, I would have to say.
I don't know, man. I feel like
Just think of it. Just
there's
think
probably some other strikers who have worse
like I mean,
takedown
Poirier's
defense.
got way more power. Poirier's
Oh,
got
dude,
power.
Poirier would be fucked with. I feel like Poirier would. Gagey, you think Gagey's easier?
They just have more power. That's
Harder?
what I'm, like
I don't. Yeah, but I understand that. I just think that I at least give it to Volk that he's probably like faster and harder
but
to get.
if not if he's faster, if he's like striking, if he's more aggressive, he's just gonna get taken down easier.
Whereas I think Gagey, like I don't even think Gagey would have a moment. Like I feel like Volk could at least.
I mean,
I feel
Gaethje
like
had a
Gagey
moment
would
against
be-
Khabib.
I feel like yeah.
He also could chop at the legs too. Like
I mean, I think Volk. I mean, the thing is, I don't know, man. I feel like Volk. The reason I'd say that is because I feel like Volk beats a lot of these guys at lightweight, just not Islam.
but I just think stylistic wise, it's an easier matchup.
I could see that. Just
You know what I'm
because he's
saying? Like
smaller.
I just think that people aren't realizing like why this is going to be such an easy matchup. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just going to be a complete mismatch. I think first 3 rounds for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's first round.